There's all this toxic positivity going around and inspiration porn, and everyone's low moments have to be forced into some sort of inspiring, great pearl of wisdom and silver lining. And that's just not the case for most of us.
This is crazy. There could be some bead
No,
here.
no, this is just pure. Look at it.
Listen, you said you'd protect me. You said you'd throw your life on the line.
Welcome to Nature Talks.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Jameela Jamil. I'm an actor and a writer and a broadcaster and one of the more annoying people on the internet.
How you been then? What have you been up to?
Been fine. I just sort of, don't know. I guess since then I went to America for 10 years.
I mean, I'd love to hear what happened.
I essentially just sort of felt like I'd hit my limit here. I was 28 and people were telling me that I had to go on some sort of reality TV show to kind of reinvent myself. I just felt a bit offended at the idea that the ceiling is so low for me at 28. And so I just thought, okay, well then if I can't be on TV at this age, fine, I'll just go and become a comedy writer, and no one here would meet with me about it. They wouldn't even meet with me about the idea of me doing comedy, either writing or acting or just anything to do with comedy. They were like, no, stay in your lane.
Why do you think that was?
I think that's what the English mentality used to be. It's really cool to see people like Katherine Ryan go and do like loads of different things, or Jordan Stevens or Maya Jammers now like doing acting. And so it's great to see that we've moved on from thinking you can just be one thing forever. But I think I was still there at the tail end of that. So I went to America and I wrote a script and I got signed off the back of that script. And then they were like, there's this audition for this very tall, annoying English woman. And I don't know why they thought of me. And I went, and I don't know how the fuck I got it, but I got the job on The Good Place. Like any comedy legend you can think of was in this show. And I was there. And I was just this little documentary maker, and like DJ. I didn't belong there. So, when people are like, oh, do you have imposter syndrome? It's not imposter syndrome if you're actually an imposter. And so I've just been sort of doggy paddling for my life ever since.
That's why I was excited to chat to you, because I have been watching it from obviously not afar, kind of afar, watching and admiring it, because I think that it is a big thing to not walk away from your home, but I definitely felt I was there for 12 years and I remember leaving thinking like, oh, there's going to be something better than here, but it's quite a big move, isn't it?
Well, it is a big move, and also I think there's a feeling of, who do you think you are?
100%.
Go to America. I always think there's this mistake that we make in considering it egomaniacal to put yourself out there and try new things. Whereas actually I can't think of many things more egomaniacal than being so afraid of criticism that you hoard who you really are or what your talents are. That to me is the epitome of ego, is not being willing to fail, not being willing to embarrass yourself because you're so self-preservational. So I don't know, I think I just didn't really have a plan.
I do think that back then you're right. It was, you had to just do a thing and do that thing really well and don't, go off that, when now it feels like you can do a lot of things.
Yeah, and I think America has a contagion for that, I think we caught that from America. We realized how much we were losing out on talent. People were just leaving the UK. They were like, oh, I'm not allowed to do this. Okay, never mind, then bye. And then they're going off and doing really well in America, especially people of colour. People of colour who've left the United Kingdom have gone on to thrive in America. Actually, what I found is that, similarly to my career in T4, it sort of transcended race, the way that I was seen. They didn't care that I was a woman or of a certain age or South Asian. They just wanted to know if I was good or not. And I really like that. And I have a tricky relationship with the identity politics of today, because I think sometimes it can do more to hold you back than propel you forward, thinking of yourself so defined by your identity. I don't walk into any room as a brown woman, as a queer woman, as a someone of Muslim heritage. I just walk into that room being like, am I good or am I not good? And I think it would hold me back to think about all the barriers that are facing me because of my gender or my identity or my background. Obviously, we can acknowledge those things, but I feel like the way that we hyper-focus on it now is actually doing more damage. And the reason I say that is because I get countless messages a week from young South Asians in particular being like, oh, I really want to be an actor, but I feel as though it must be just so hard because of all the racism in the industry. And I'm like, I think we might be dissuading people from even trying because we've made it sound so scary. And my personal experience has not been completely devoid of xenophobia or whatever, but mostly the energy I give off is just, why not me?
Yeah.
And so then they're kind of like, oh yeah, okay. Why not you? And you go in, you do your audition, and you're not shackled by all of the weight of these identities, and you're just there as an artist. And I'm lucky that I, was given opportunities.
Well said. You didn't plan to go down the acting.
No, God no.
But that feels like kind of where you went for a while, but now it feels like that's changing a bit.
Yeah, well, I think I'm just always going to be an interviewer. I really like acting, but I also, I love finding out about other people. I love being an interviewer. I love facilitating conversation, and that's what I started off as. And that's still ultimately in my marrow more so than anything else that I do. And also, the scripts for women are just devastating. There's so few good roles for women. Think of how many times we've seen women in that role as the moaning, like ball and chain, and it permeates culture. It permeates our society.
Are you writing?
I am. Yeah. I am. It wouldn't be necessarily for me to act in, but I'm trying to help make the things that I want to see in the world. And the way we write women of a certain age, like I'm 40 in a matter of months, and it's just so depressing. We used to give older women much more interesting roles for a bit. And now,
why do you think that is?
Because we are trying to erase age in women. We're not showing older people falling in love. Like, you remember films like As Good As It Gets, or all this, like When Harry Met Sally. It was like people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s even, falling in love with each other. And it's like, that's real life. Post-pandemic, everyone got divorced, and then they had to get back out there. Dick swinging and all. I want to see real life. And so I'm trying to write real life. But who knows?
Film or TV?
Film and TV. We'll see. But I've never been qualified to do any of the other things I've done. So why not this?
Tell me about it. That's why I'm just trying to sit out in the nature, and have lovely conversations.
No, I know you're in my turf now. You're podcasting.
People.
Yeah.
I know. So you've got a new one, right?
A new podcast. Yeah. I'd done a very serious podcast for 5 years called I Weigh, which was about social justice and mental health. And I was very proud of that. But also the world is so bleak at the moment, and the bleakest, I think, we have the most bleak information reaching us at all times of the day now. And I think it's very important to stay engaged and socially aware, but you also need respite. You need reprieve in order to have energy for what is going to be a very long time that we're going to have to fight. And I think we feel guilty for turning away, but we have to just briefly have a little break. And I was like, part of activism is having that break. And I wanted to make something that was the complete opposite of the current world we live in, and just total counterculture. There's all this toxic positivity going around, and inspiration porn, and everyone's low moments have to be forced into some sort of inspiring great pearl of wisdom and silver lining. And that's just not the case for most of us. And we don't become a CEO billionaire in an ice bath inspiring the masses. We don't all make lemonade from the lemons that life gives us. And so I wanted to make a comedy disaster podcast with a bunch of comedians that just make you feel better about your life, because you hear about how much we suffered and we gained nothing from it. If anything, we became stupider. And people seem to love it, because I think it's what people need. And we're not ramming a silver lining up your ass. It's sometimes things just suck and they're funny, and we're kind of anti-inspiration pro-commiseration. And I think we just need to hold each other for a moment. I think people also want to share. They want to get these stories off their chest. They're tired of holding in the shame.
Yeah.
And so,
because it has been a grim few years.
Yeah, listen, the world is grim and it's always been grim. And I think we're just hearing about it more often. And I think that's really important. And I think it's making us more empathetic. But I also think we're going to lose our empathy because there's a kind of empathy fatigue that you're noticing in people. You know, we're starting to become accustomed to seeing certain kinds of images and certain kinds of headlines. And so we need to, it's a sign that we're burning out and we need to take little breaks. Yeah. So that we can maintain and keep, stoking the fire of our empathy.
Well said. I guess what I wanted to ask you, because I've been experiencing a little bit even with this, is like as it gets bigger, everyone has more of an opinion on it, right? And like as much as people love it, they also hate it. Like how was that? Because obviously in your last podcast you were very opinionated, which was amazing, but also I'm sure brought other comments.
Yeah. I don't know. I think because I've been doing this for 17 years, which means I've been getting battered online for almost 2 decades. I'm quite desensitized to it. I listen in case there might be some good input in there. And I have improved as an actor, as a presenter, as an interviewer for people's input from the public.
That is an amazing point of view, because most people say to me, like, I just don't listen to it. But you're saying that you actually...
Yeah, even when they're nasty about it, sometimes there's an element of truth. Like some people were like, oh, I wish she'd stop interrupting her guests. And I was like, I do interrupt my guests. I should shut the fuck up.
Wow, there you go.
And I prefer it when it's delivered with a bit of actual critical thought and, goodwill or good faith. But I do think that there's something to be said for not being afraid to face the fact that you might be getting something wrong. And sometimes people are just being mean for the sake of it. If someone just says she's annoying, then I just take that as, well, I'm just not your cup of tea and that's okay. I don't have to change myself for you if you don't like me. I probably wouldn't like you either. I don't like anyone. I don't like anyone. So I don't expect anyone to like me. But if someone's got a genuine note, I'll take it.
Why do you think you don't like anyone?
I don't think I ever really liked that many people. I credit being old, but I realised, this is so rude, but I don't care. I used to think that I had social anxiety. And then I realised, oh no, I'm just bored. And I'm blaming myself for being bored in other people's company. And I'm going, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Why aren't you having more fun? And then I just was taught to label that as social anxiety, to pathologize it. And then I started having one-on-one time with amazing friends and feeling so energized by that time and barely being able to sleep after they leave because I'm so excited by the connection. And I realized I don't have social anxiety. I'm just anxious when I'm fucking bored and I'm trapped in a conversation. We pathologize too many things. We tell people you have the condition of anxiety. It's like, do we? Or are we having a very normal response to a very abnormal society? Are you not a sociopath if you're fine right now? I'm more scared of anyone who's absolutely thriving right now. That's who I want to move away from on the bus.
When do you think you had that realization?
When I was 30.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I feel like early 20s is hard to think that clearly.
No, early 20s, you're there and you're blaming yourself for everything that you feel.
Yeah.
And then you turn 30, you start blaming everyone else for everything that you feel. And that's also wrong. And then you get to 40 and you're like, it's a 50-50 balance.
What does 40 feel like?
Well, I'm almost there. I've been saying I'm 40. No, not yet. But I'm
you're
like,
39.
I'm 39.
I shouldn't shout
Why?
your age.
Why?
To know. It's for
what kind of bullshit is that?
It's for you to say.
What's this age thing that we have where we're so precious about people's ages? To survive this world, to get to any age at all, is such an accomplishment. And it's such a thrill and a privilege.
especially when you're a woman and you're being hunted from when you're born by some really scary men in this world. I think getting older, I can't believe it when people are embarrassed. I think it's the rudest thing in the world. I love getting older. I love my age. I'm so proud of myself.
That is a great way to look at it. You've got to embrace where you're at.
I love it. I really
it?
love it. I can't get enough of it. I hated being young. I was so miserable the whole time. I didn't understand what was happening. I felt like I was being constantly blindsided by everything. And we don't tell young people anything. We patronize them, even though they're so much more emotionally in tune and intelligent than adults. Like, we're born with no racism, no fat phobia, no homophobia. We just take people at face value. We advocate for ourselves. We say, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I'm lonely. We never say when we're lonely anymore. You know, we advocate for ourselves. We tell people our needs, and all of that gets dragged out of us by society. Young people are where it's at. They get corrupted by society. And so we think that innocence and ignorance are mutually exclusive, right? It's like you have to make sure a child has no information in order to preserve their innocence. Whereas actually, one of the greatest ways you can actually tangibly preserve someone's innocence is to warn them and prepare them for the world. Because then they're less likely to run into the things that actually take away their innocence, I think.
That's well said. I just feel like it's a good time now, but like if you were, you know, a young person, early 20s or
yeah,
and you were watching this, like, what would you want to hear out of this?
I'd be like, oh my God, have you still got that haircut? Can't believe you still haven't changed your hair.
It's a great haircut.
I've had this haircut for those two.
Do you think you'll ever change it?
No, it's out of spite now.
You dodged the actual question.
Oh shit!
You did dodge the question.
Oh, sorry. I think she'd be really.
There will be young people
also wondering why I have this haircut.
Don't dodge it again. That was a good dodge.
I guess what you want to know what I would think of looking back now.
If your younger self, when you were 19, 20 or whatever, saw this, came across this conversation, and
she'd think he's very calm now, and she'd think she's very calm now. And I think she'd be proud of me that I never gave up, even though the media and the internet gave me such a hard time. Every time I wasn't perfect. I didn't take it as I think men are more bred to come back from disgrace or disapproval, whereas women are taught to run away and hide in a cupboard. And I didn't. I've often carried myself in the way that I guess a straight white man is taught to carry himself. I just think, okay, I made a mistake and now I've learned and I won't do it again, and I'll just keep trying and I'll carry on. And I don't wait for other people's permission to carry on. I just keep going. And what I've learned is that on the other side of people's disapproval is often liberation, because now you're free of trying to be perfect and pleasing everyone. And also you've grown exponentially from it, and life carries on and people forget and they move on. And they've got bigger fish to fry. Yeah, of course. And so, I'm here if I'm a role model for anything, it is for being allowed to fuck up and carry on. And that is the one thing I'm actually proud of when it comes to myself. Everything else, I didn't know what I was doing. But this was a concerted decision. This was a concerted effort and a pointed decision to go, I'd quite like to leave because everyone's really making this feel rubbish for me. But I'm going to stay out of spite.
With the same hair.
Yeah.
I love that. We're getting a hag. Do you actually have to go and get on another?
Yeah, I'm being interviewed by young Jordan Stevens.
Yeah,
our friend.
What are the chances that this came at that point?
I know. Well, I love him. I think what he's doing is so brilliant, and him and I both feel very passionately about the gender war and how we could work together and use our separate audiences to bring people together, bring men and women back together again. The state of things is just abhorrent and terrifying, and I don't think it's working, whatever we're trying now. People are just getting unhappier and more miserable and lonelier and weirder.
People are getting really weird on the
It's
internet.
getting very weird.
Yeah.
We can all get back to having conversations with each other rather than about each other in our echo chambers, which is what we keep doing. So Jordan and I want to just keep talking to each other. And, we don't always agree. And he came on my podcast and we publicly disagreed with each other for an hour and a half. And it was the most civil, loving discourse where we modeled what it's like when you actually give someone the benefit of the doubt, that their difference of opinion is not an attack on your identity. The thing that makes me saddest about this generation is that we can't separate identity from opinion. Opinion is so transient. It can change from one TikTok to the next. Your identity is also transient, but far more fixed. But we can't separate the two. So we think when someone attacks your opinion or doesn't like your opinion, they don't like you. And they are attacking your entire being and your entire identity. And I think what Jordan and I have been good at so far, both privately and publicly, is that if we don't see eye to eye on something, we both presume the other person's a good person. And we're just a product of our own environments or information.
That is amazingly said. Yeah. Well, thank you. You didn't get stung by a bee.
I didn't, what a
You did
miracle.
not get stung by a bee, and you wore black.
Yeah.
So we're very,
Yeah.
it all worked
It's
out.
perfect.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh my
You
God.
again.